طيب الو تست صوتي عالي. مبدئيا الانترودكشن تبعت الكيس بتدخلك في مود انه راح يصير في عمليه بتريال او انه مبدا الخيانه اللي بنحكي عنه، بس اكشلي بالاخير بالفقره الاخيره بتبين لك انه لا، وجهه نظرنا انه راح يكون في ميكست فيلينجز يس، بس هي نورمال بروجرس بالنسبه لها لانه بالاتشيفمنتس اللي عملتها وبالريكورد الموجود، زائد فرق العمر. يعني الموضوع مش اثنين كومبيتيتورز بنفس العمر واحد اخذ مكان الثاني، لا، هو صح كان منتر لفتره طويله لكن فارق العمر زائد انه he was almost getting to the retirement age, so بالاخير he will not lose his job, let's say between quotation, because of her. بعدين she did not ask for it, she was given the position. So, بس هو شوف لما قعدوا معه بالاول، هو قعدوا معه بالاول بعدين قعدوا معها، بالتالي المسج اوريدي انعطت له انه انت قربت على الريتايرمنت واحنا شايفين في بوتنشل اعلى بجوز عند ايمي، وهي بالنسبه لها صح نكست فيلينج، بس بالاخير لو انا مكانها ما بقول لا، ولا بقول انه ما بدي هاي الفرصه، لا. اوكي بلغ، انا بقول لك بلغ.
اوكي جود، ليتس ليسن تو. بس خلينا نشوف اذا فينا نضويه هيك اكيد. هون ده راح بطاريته، بس هذا المضوي لهون بس عندي صوته.
What I see in this case is everything is normal, I think.
Yeah.
Only one thing maybe can be a problem is the way the upper management did this operation.
Yeah.
By just announcing to the mentor that you are done, and they bring his number two at his place. Maybe they can manage it in a better way and it will go smoothly. That's the only problem I see. And I think that all of us will have teams, and hopefully they want to take our place one day. And this is normal behavior, I think. But for this case, she didn't ask for it. It comes and she feels a little bit guilty. And if it was done in a good way, maybe nobody will feel neither better.
أنا أحس في مخرج للموضوع، يعني بنفس الوقت ممكن يتحقق إنه هي البوزيشن تبعها، ممكن لأنه ما ضل عنده ريتايرمنت فترة طويلة، ممكن ينحط كونسلتنت لها لفترة معينة عبين ما يتقاعد، بنفس الوقت يعني ضله منتور بشكل أو بآخر إلها يساعدها، بس هي أخذت البوزيشن المفروض تكمل. يعني بحس إنه هذا ممكن كان يعني اقتراح منها للإدارة أو شيء ممكن يصير برضه كمنجمنت كحل.
Do you foresee any problems? ممنوع. هلا till now ممنوع شو صار. John. The nation might be. Yes, sir. Yeah.
AMI, which means that إنه هم already يعني soon or later راح يتركوا الشغل. نعم. فبالتالي it should not زي ما حكى يمكن قصي at certain level. إحنا بنحكي عن intelligence people up to certain level then اللي بسموها الحكمة اللي هي عند الكونسلتنسي، يعني يكون كونسلتنت. فبالتالي هو وصل لمرحلة الكونسلتنت أكثر ما هي موضوع إنه يكون بالليفل اللي آمي المفروض هلا تكون فيه instead of him.
Thank you. Let's go into the thought patterns of Amy. تفضل أبو.
حاسب حاله ستار. والله ستار.
طيب اتفضل بليز تفضل.
الشباب هلا هون واضح انه الريليشن بين امي وجون صارت بيوند البزنس ريليشن لبيرسونال ريليشن.
صحيح.
which I think my personal perspective على رأيي أبو انه لازم يكون في ليميتس بالبزنس ريليشن، ما تدخل الامور البيرسونال تو ماتش، بيكوز لما يصير اي مشكله من هذا النوع it will impact heavily على كل الاطراف. يكون في دائما ليميتيشنز بين يعني فصل بين البزنس والبيرسونال ريليشن. هون دخلوا كثير ببعض وصار علاقات كثير يعني
نعم. طيب سؤال. Let's look at Amy. هي لما سمعت لما كلموها قالوا لها you'll take the place of your mentor. Apparently she was silent. She did not say anything. She was shocked, stunned, right? She was stunned, and then okay, managed. In retrospect, I mean, in hindsight, should she have done something else? Or should I mean كان لازم تحكي شيء ولا كان لازم تضل ساكتة ولا شو كان ممكن تعمل؟ شو لازم تحكي؟ اوكي. Yeah.
هي الشغله مش قدام الاداره ولا مش قدام natural reaction to say what about.
Yeah. Ask more about John. كنت رافع ايدك هيك قبل شوي ولا لا؟ But that's the question. Should she have acted differently? مثلا I'm not saying she should have done this, بس إذا حدا يقول لك إنه لأنه في this type of potential loyalty to John, she could have stood and told them, look, you know, he's retiring after 1 year. You should not do this. Let's wait. Let me be a managing director. ولا ما فيها ولا مستحيل لانه صعب ياخذوا قرار. صح. Actually, that's a good point. يعني one question that we asked, should she have acted differently? That's a good question to ask. بس to claim كمان نحن theoretically قاعدين عم نحكي من ورا ورقه وعم نحكي انه theoretically ممكن نقول واحد والله كان لازم تحكي وفي loyalty وفي كذا، بس in reality they are offering you a promotion. Well, you don't want it, you know, we'll offer it to Saeed over there. He would be very much willing to do that. So in reality, this is not a thing that you can fight back, or you should fight back. And having said this, let me just tell you about one thing that sometimes is important for us to understand in leadership in general. In leadership, perhaps in life, مش بس in leadership, in life, there is something that we call defining moments. Defining moments. What is a defining moment? Defining moment reflects the situations where one's values are questioned in a very significant and fundamental manner, that if they don't act in a certain way, they will feel regret over a long period of time, perhaps over their whole life. And again, defining moment is a situation where someone's values are questioned to a very significant impact or to a very significant level, whereby if they do nothing, they will regret this over the course of their whole life. But this could have been a defining moment for Amy, yani, but we agree it should not. But if somebody thinks that she should have talked, or if she thought that she should have talked, she should have offered another alternative, she would have said no. She would have proposed a postponement of the announcement. then this is a defining moment for her in terms of if she does nothing that could have been perceived by her as being an abdication of her moral responsibility towards John. And she would regret this over the course of her life. But I think we agree this is not a defining moment. I think. And she was stunned, she did not respond, and I think you might disagree or agree, that was normal. I think many of us agree that if she objected, that wouldn't be logical. Hey. نسمع yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. بس كان ممكن sure correct. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Right, right. آه. صح صحيح عفوا ايه كان ممكن يكون اخراجها افضل مثل ما قال كان ممكن هن يعملوها بطريقه افضل. Apparently something is happening, something is growing under the surface which you don't know about, and it happened in this way. Yes. ايه كان ممكن يقولوا لنا كان ممكن تسالون اكثر how do you see this coming year going with him around and he's going to stay around till retirement. How for her? What's my mandate? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. 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 True. This is so it's not related to her relationship with John, it's more related to her own role, her own aspiration. Yes. That's ايه بس يمكن يعني السؤال هو what should she do what would she do يمكن اذا بتحس انه حيكون عندهم certain feeling lack of loyalty questioning her credibility she should do something she should meet with them communicate with them one way or the other. هلا بس to reflect on this defining moment concept beyond this case بتصير امراض معنا امراض واحد بيكون at a smaller level بتكون انت في situation where somebody mentions something and you don't respond تسكت ما بتعرف كيف تجاوب ترجع بتفكر بعدين بتقول يا ريت نحكي فيه فهلا it depends sometimes it's a small thing it's هيك شغله بس sometimes بتكون شغله كثير مهمه وكثير كبيره وكثير ف if we don't have enough سلاح بديهه انه نقدر نقول what needs to be said sometimes we feel regret هلا كمان في individual differences يعني كمان شخصيا انا امرأة كثير بالنقاشات ما عندي سرعه بديهه يعني ما عندي my sister it just happens انه she has such a quick wit in that regard ممكن دغري ترد بطريقه ذكيه سريعه انا I take my time I process and perhaps later on I'll come with a very sophisticated answer but sometimes things can't wait and this becomes if the issue is intense something very important it becomes a defining moment لانه طب ليش ما حكيت؟ ليش ما ذكرت؟ يعني this is something that relates to your career, it relates to your how you are positioned vis-a-vis your colleagues, vis-a-vis your management, and you kept silent, and you get all of these questions. and what we should have said and what we should not have said. And having said this, then these things come with experience because even if someone does not have certain badiha, but with accumulated experiences, you understand what you need to say and when you need to talk and when you need to just keep silent. Sometimes keeping silent is the best option. All right, so what happened? Let's break now for 15 minutes time for the break, and we will continue the case after the break, inshallah. Six months later, so 6 months have passed. Let's see what happened during 6 months. Driven by her personal concern for Lane, Morris decided to try to make the best of things for the next few months. While she didn't stand up to the partners about their decision to get rid of Lane, she did not talk back, she did not object, nor push for more guidance on how to manage the tricky replace your boss while he is still around transition. I think this is the thing that you were referring to. I need more clarity. She did not seek more clarity about her role and all of that. And replace your boss while he's still around. This is one of the problems. It's very challenging. She made sure to talk with Lane as soon as possible to make clear to him that she too was blindsided by this change and had no hand in it. She did not lobby for it. She did not stab him in the back. She tried just to. She was surprised as he was. She suggested talking about how they should manage their new respective roles. But Lane was clearly uncomfortable and just avoided her attempt to discuss that matter in any detail. She didn't push it, and so the conversation was delayed indefinitely, remaining the elephant in the room. So the conversation never happened. She tried once, he refused, and it stayed as the elephant in the room, the thing that we both of them knew existed, but no one dared to open again. Unfortunately, these decisions made her transition to managing director of the energy sector a rocky one. Although now technically in an advisory role, Lane continued to act as though he was in charge of funds. So he continued to be very assertive in denial, right? Not only in denial vis-a-vis himself personally, but also in denial vis-a-vis other employees, clients, and vis-a-vis Morris herself. Not wanting to undermine the client's confidence in the firm, she did not contradict him publicly in those instances. She did not really, because it's a challenge. If you want to confront him publicly, this could cast some questions. And because she didn't want to offend his sense of dignity and strain the relationship even more, she said nothing to him privately either. Lane's continued presence caused problems within the group too, as some members continued to treat Lane rather than Morris as the head of the group. So some stakeholders continued to treat him as if he's still in charge, as if she is not in charge, which is again another thing. For instance, the group's London liaison continued to report Lane and largely ignored Morris. 6 months into the transition, Morris realized something needed to change. She tried to do right by Lane, but she now understood these reactions put her in a much weaker position. as a new partner, then she could accept if she was going to successfully lead the group and effectively service the group clients. Things couldn't go on this way for another 4 months until Lane's planned retirement date. So now we are 6 months, there are still 4 more months, and now she is reconsidering what she has done and whether she needs to do anything. Obviously, she's not happy, and there is confusion as to who is in charge. So now, knowing how she acted, the question before you is, what do you think? How she acted, how does her actions reflect good handling of the situation? What does it tell about leadership, whatever we talked about the last 2 days? She's trying to be kind, okay. She's trying to be kind, but it's not working well. It's too late. Now 6 months is too late. What she should have done then, knowing now what had happened. Again, she should talk with John. Yeah. Telling him what. All right, you just acted Amy out. You just acted Amy out. Let me act John myself. So I would say, as John, I would say, look, we go a long way, and you acted as if nothing happened. You acted as if, I knew from yesterday. We knew each other for so many years. I helped you, I mentored you, I assisted you, I developed you. You've only seen support from my side, and now you stabbed me in the back. How do you expect me to act in this way? Let's leave it as is for the next 4 months, and then we'll be free, and we'll fly alone. That's everything. That's everything. لا هو advisory role، ضل advisor. خلوه advisor لانه لا ياخذ البنفيتس وفي له علاقه شيء بالبنفيتس وكذا، انه حتى ما يتقاعد قبل الوقت بضل موجود. بس اوكي. All right, so that aligns with what Yunus was saying. It's too late. She should have acted early on. So we discussed what she should have said or should not have said during the meeting. Now, after the meeting, immediately she tried to talk to him, and he refused. Then was the time for her to take action. He refused. No, we need to talk. We need to. We should not stay the elephant in the room. And so now 6 months, and you are tolerating all of this. Why don't you tolerate it for more months? Yeah. He's bitter. He's bitter. He's bitter. Yeah. All right, we have 2 of you asking about Abdel Hadi. We have 2 of you, one of you and Hamdi. Both of you talked about potentially talking to top management about this. What do you think about this? About this thing? Right. Okay. That's a very good point. So you'll take an administrative decision on your own relocate Yes. Remember, لحظة. What Lubna was saying is that she missed her defining moment. I think there were two defining moments here. The first defining moment was the moment when she was informed about the incident. The second defining moment was the moment when she tried to talk to him and he refused. She should not have succumbed to his, she should not have yielded to his wish. No. We need to talk about this. That is. But let's go back to the question. Yes, I think going and talking to management at this stage could be perceived as a sign of weakness. So, yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. This could be seen as a sign of weakness, and there could be some times where you have to get help from top management for certain things. This might not be one of them. You should be able to sort it on your own. So let them interfere. So make a decision, my friend, relocate them. And then he will object. He will object, perhaps to top management, and then he will tell him, look, okay, it's not Israel, it's Bonn, it's some Berlin, somewhere. So it's, but definitely waiting for this to grow further and further, compromising her leadership, compromising her positioning, it's not good. It's not good for her. That's not a good approach in terms of dealing with it. The way we assess this positioning is, again, to go back to the niceness thing here. This is not a matter of personality here. Perhaps she's not highly agreeable, but this is more a matter of her relationship with him. So, matter of being nice sometimes relates to the context, the specific situation. Mentor, mentee, deep relationship, and she felt she couldn't do much with him. All right. So this is a nice, interesting, I don't want to use the word nice, this is an interesting matrix that tells you about to approach such things. When we are faced with such things, we have two crossing options. First is to care personally for the person here, caring, here lack of caring personally. Second is challenging directly, here is not challenging directly, avoiding. Right. If Amy avoids talking to John because she doesn't care about him personally, and she doesn't want to challenge, that would be a sort of manipulative insincerity. She's not avoiding talk because she cares about him. She's avoiding talk because she cares for herself, perhaps. She's afraid she will not succeed, all of that. Right. So this is a case of insincere manipulation. Now, where is Amy positioned in this matrix? If you read it, where do you think her behavior is? Which one of these four? It's ruinous empathy. It is ruinous empathy. She cares so much for John, so high degree of care, but she's not willing to change directly. So she is in ruinous empathy. And remember, empathy is one aspect of emotional intelligence. We said it's a good thing. It's important to have. It's a sign of your social intelligence, it's a sign of your emotional intelligence. But if you don't use it in the right situation, it could be ruinous and destructive empathy. All empathy is good. She is so empathizing with John to the extent that she is destroying her credibility and her legitimacy as a leader. And she should not have that. If she challenges without care, this is called obnoxious aggression. I don't care about you, go to hell, that sort of thing. I don't care about you. This is instruction from top management, take it or leave it, my way or the highway, that type of thing. So no care about him personally, no care about his history, about his mentorship, about their relationship. And at the same time, she's challenging directly. Obviously, this is not her behavior, but that could be a behavior displayed by some. What she should have done in retrospect now is radical candor. Radical candor, yani radical in a sense of assertive, in a sense of decisive, in a sense of the ability to take a stand. Candor while still being courteous, while still being compassionate. Radical candor is a positioning that she did not succeed in implementing. She should not keep this as an elephant in the room. She should challenge it. She should challenge it in an understanding way. Being understanding and being empathetic does not mean that you avoid that type of situation. Again, that type of situation could happen in any type of relationship that you have. It could be in a family situation. So family situation, you should not keep everything as an opinion. Sometimes you avoid talking about certain things. But things that are important, that are of implication, you cannot just keep avoiding them. You cannot just keep files open without closing them at the right moment in time. Please. Yeah. I can answer, but I really want to invite more answers. The question is how she could have implemented radical candor with him. She can even تعمل. لا مش بعد من الأول. ممكن لما خبروها إنه كان دايركت. هي راحت حكت معه وهو رفض. لا هي راحت دايركتلي. هي راحت. She made sure to talk as soon as possible. No. The whole thing happened after 2 months. هي راحت directly تحكي معه وهو رفض. Well, I guess the answer is ما في يعني. طب هو رفض شو رفض؟ لا بدك تحكي معي. يعني I think you can push for that. But he could have still avoided. ممكن يعني he would have listened to her in a very passive way. يعني استمعنا بدون ما ينصت لها بالعربية. استماع بدون انصات. Okay. What do you have advice for me to do? ممكن. كان ممكن تقول له ان this happened, I did not know about this, we need to talk, I do not accept that, I need your advice, I need your help. هلا having said this كان ممكن كده الموضوع ما يمشي معه. ممكن he feels bitter to the extent where everything does not work with him. طيب سؤال يمكن عملوا هيك. He still acted in this manner. People still acted as if it was. What I think, just to continue these feedback that we received, I think in the first or second, perhaps, sometimes we ignore the first, but in the first few instances where you feel that you are being sidelined as a manager, تحس إن في شيء غلط، في meeting والناس مهتمين له أو الناس عم يعتبروه هو الليدر عم they are marginalizing you. يمكن أول مرة تطنش تقول إنه بس second time around, third time around, I think this is where she should take a position vis-a-vis others. هو يعني إذا ما بدها تعمل له قرار نقل مثلا أو شيء أو she should have this talk with others. She should have this talk with other employees. She should address clients. She should communicate with clients. She should talk to the London liaison. She should send them formal communication. There is this new kid on the block. There's new management in town. People cannot ignore this. And people other than John, who have no direct stake in this, they cannot ignore these. Say, but the organization, but the proper bureaucracy. So if he's not willing to listen and she can't really control him, she can't. لأنه هو عايز مستغني من نقول شو حتعملي معي؟ أنا مشترك بعد 4-5 شهور. What possibly you can do? But she can talk to others that if she can take disciplinary measures against others, if not against him. But even against him, she can do what our friend over there, you know, something similar. Yeah. So some type of decision has to be made. هلا بيبقى المشكل الانساني، البعد الانساني. علاقتي معه وكذا وهيك بدها معالجه.
هذا قرار مانجمنت.
رايت. صح. ايه ممكن. يا.
هي كانت لازم تاخذ الستيب اللي حضرتك حكيتها انه تعمل كوميونيكيشن مع التيم، تكتب مع الزباين، خلص تحط فتره جديده كلك احنا طبعا
صح.
انت كنت اداره احترام، انت كنت المنتور تاعي وبحترم بس اذا انت رافض بعد ما انت كنت كبرت يكون
It's not easy at the human level, but it needs to be done. يعني في شغل بده يمشي. صح. صح. Yeah, this is not totally abnormal. It always happens that you have, you know, one of us reaches a certain, يعني هذه سنة الحياة, right? Things, times. Does Morris need to involve the senior partners now? We talked about it. That this is a sign of weakness. What you should say to Lane, again, we talked about this. Are there any other people with whom she could communicate? She should talk to clients and other employees. So we answered all of these questions. This relates to the way to communicate with him. We're trying to reflect at a communication level, what does radical candor mean? What does radical candor mean? Think of radical candor as two words, each one pertains to a party. Radical pertains to me as Amy. Candor pertains to you as John. What do I mean by this? I mean, I have, in communicating with you, I have to protect my interests, explain my opinion, explain my positioning, but I should do it with candor. I should understand your position, I should understand where you're standing, I should understand your perspective. The problem is, we in communication, we do not understand what prompts a person to act in a certain manner. We base our dealing with others based on lots of assumptions. What this ladder, we call this the ladder of influence. Ladder of influence. Influence in Arabic means كم influence بالعربي؟ لا مش influence, inference, to infer. يعني induction, استنتاج. So I infer that you are doing this because you want to stab me in the back. So I make certain assumptions, and this is why I talk to you in this manner. You infer that you don't want me to grow into the leader, you don't want me to be in a position of leadership, you want to use my relationship with you, your mentorship to me for the past X number of years, you want to use it as an alibi to not help me grow. So both of them could be at that. So the actions that we make are not built on reality and facts, because reality and facts go through several stages of filtering. وبيتعدلوا بيصيروا, instead of them being hard facts, they end up being assumptions and beliefs that might be correct or might be incorrect. يعني in this specific example, the way Amy might be thinking is that she might, that's her thought pattern. She might tell him, or she might think that I've been patient with you while you undermine me with the London staff. The London staff were talking to you as if you were the manager. I've allowed you to keep your dignity with clients. I protected you from being fired before vesting. So I did, yes, I mean, I agree that you have done a lot to me, but I also done a lot to you. This is a decision that was made by management. They could have easily fired you. I could have easily reported you. You owe it to me to understand my position. That's what I've shown empathy. I've given you empathy. And I tried to work with you in this tough time. You owe it to me to change your behavior immediately. This is where she is. That's her ladder of influence. So I helped you, I kept management from firing you, I did not report you to upper management. You owe it to me to change your behavior immediately. His ladder of influence is different. Where he's starting from, I helped you, I gave you chances, you did not fight for me, you did not take a position defending me. You hadn't said anything for 6 months. As I kept things afloat internally and externally, I was working on behalf of you in this transition period. You haven't been faithful with me, you know it, and you still need me. I owe you nothing. You should leave it alone for 4 more months. In doing this, language-wise, we use 2 types of languages. One is a language of advocacy, and the other is a language of inquiry. So we advocate for our position, and then we try to inquire about the position. The challenge is sometimes we do not know how to advocate for our own position. This is the very agreeable type of person, or a person who thinks that whatever John has done to me over the past 10 years or so are good enough reasons for him to continue in that road that he has. So 2 types of language. And sometimes we fail. We only see our own. We only advocate for our position. We fail to inquire from the other person. We should use these 2 types of languages: advocate for our position and inquire from someone else about their position. Here's how I see things, and this is my reality. This is advocacy language. So I should tell him, this is the way I see it, and this is my reality. And I've been helping you. I've been protecting you. I've been shielding you from the intervention of top management over the last 4 months, over the last 10 months of your career at this company. This is my reasoning, this is my data, this is my reality. And then I would inquire, how do you see things? What's your reality? Help me understand your position, that sort of thing. And unfortunately, when people are not willing to talk, you are not able to advocate for your position, and you are not able to inquire from the other person's positions, and you end up really doing nothing. Now, what happened later, again, is the following. Again, we know what happened. Morris allowed the situation with Lane to play out without significant confrontation until his retirement. So after 6 months, she reflected, but again, she decided, شو بدي بشتغلي خلص خلي الامور 4 اشهر وبنخلص طول بالي 4 اشهر. Out of deference to Lane's feelings, she did not correct any misperceptions about the relative roles, either to insiders or clients. She also did not seek any advice or help from senior leadership, partly out of fear that it would look like she was running to mommy and daddy with her first problem as a partner, but also because if they heard that Lane was making the transition difficult, they might terminate him immediately. She still had enough consideration and care for him. With the advantage of hindsight, Morris realized that she didn't act with sufficient confidence or assertiveness, and that was a result of multiple factors. As someone young in a new in a major role and dealing with a much older male who had been her boss and mentor, she acquiesced to Lane and the status quo more than she should have. She yielded into him. She just gave in to him. Primarily, however, Morris considered how she handled the situation to be a mistake because she allowed her personal concern for Lane to override her professional judgment and standards. So in retrospect, looking back, I should not have done that. It was a mistake. Now she saw that her empathy for Lane, while good in itself, got in the way of her focus on the well-being and efficiency of herself and her team and the organization. She didn't serve herself, didn't serve her team, didn't serve the organization. As a result, the group suffered because everyone was unclear as to who was in charge. Remember what we said, what in the case of Deutsche Telekom, what do we expect of leaders? What did we say? Direction, protection, and order. What she did, let's look at this from the perspective of the team. I think direction was lost. People did not know what is the direction of this company. Protection was not an issue, I think, but order was a problem because there was chaos, right? It was chaos. Hey, ما حدد boundaries, not put boundaries. So people felt lost for 10 months. Morris knew that if she could do it over, she would make a public announcement, both internally and to the group's clients, to make the leadership situation crystal clear from the start. She also would have insisted that Lane help communicate the new rules to the London liaison. It would have both fixed the immediate problem and restarted their own conversation. while she still would have responded to Lane with compassion, she would have prioritized her team's effectiveness over his team. Okay? So again, this is a classic case of problems that a emerging leader faces when they are not able and willing to take a stand vis-a-vis a certain challenge that they face. Okay? Very good. يلا بعد شوي. All right. يلا يلا يلا. يلا كده وزن. Similar case to the one that we just read between Amy and Lane. What you have, Sammy, what you have in this case, someone named. يلا مشان تفهموا الكيس بس بدي اعطيكم a piece of information about Sammy. Sammy was promoted, all right? Sammy was very similar to Amy. So Sammy and Amy. Sammy was promoted to a position in a different country in Dubai, and so this guy is regional and he has to relocate. So Sammy talked during the meeting with the CEO that he's thrilled at the opportunity and he is willing to relocate, and he was happy at the opportunity. And he met one of his friends. Sammy met one of his friends and asked him about some advice. It did not take his friend Saeed, it did not take him long to give him frank and transparent advice. He said, listen, Sammy, I've always been your friend and I have never offered you except the best of advice. You need to understand that you have been very successful in your various finance positions. Right? So this is a guy who comes from finance, and now he is promoted to become a regional director or regional manager for like a more expansive role. So he told him, his friend told him, look, you have been very good in the finance position. You have done what it takes in order for you to succeed. You have the skills and background that would help you excel in finance positions. You have the insight and right analytical skills that would help you in any senior finance role in your company or elsewhere. But remember, being a regional manager is a totally different game. This requires a host of skills that you might never have a chance to develop before. If you go there assuming your background and skills will be enough, think twice. So he's trying to tell him, look, you are very good in finance. It doesn't mean that you have all the skills needed to be in a regional management position. Then he talked to his wife. She told him about the Peter principle, and this is very interesting. Anybody heard about the Peter principle? Peter principle is that competent people keep getting promoted and promoted and promoted till they reach the level of incompetence. So people keep getting promoted and promoted and promoted till they get to their level of incompetence. So what Sammy was considering, and I have been very successful, in this area, being promoted, etc. But would it be a situation where the Peter principle will be playing in this case? Am I being promoted to my level of incompetence? Yani being promoted to a level which you are not ready for, right? And this is where he was reflecting, and then comes this case that you are reading, all right? So this is the context of the case that you are. The questions that he asked himself towards the end. Specifically, you need to look at the back of the case, strengths and weaknesses. Identify those strengths that would really work well for him in terms of developing his, being successful in his leadership journey, but also pay particular interest to those weaknesses that would act as potential impediments towards his leadership effectiveness. And explore why he knew about these years earlier. Why didn't he do anything about them? What do you think? In general, why do people do not do enough about their areas of weakness? What does he need to do in terms of strengths, in terms of just discuss it for a couple of minutes among each other, and we will. Discuss this in a group. There are really a couple of questions that I want to ask you to discuss. First is, given the list of strengths and weaknesses that we have, what strengths you feel could be the most important strengths that could really help him in his leadership journey, in his leadership role? Second, what are the weaknesses? What are the most significant weaknesses that could be detrimental to his leadership development? ابدا احرجتونا الزلمه خلاص طلعنا حقك احرجتونا. All right. So, what strengths are significant? What weaknesses are significant? Adaptability. So, adaptability is considered to be a very important one. Why? In this case, going for a new location, new culture, new country, new job definition. New people. Actually, people get promoted all the time, but this is really a significant level. It's like moving to the next level. Right. So change in all aspects. The type of peers, the type of employees, the type of cultural context, the type of competitive landscape. Customers might be different. So lots of issues that he has to deal with. So adaptability is very important. Is a very important strength in this case. I think we would do that. What is a weakness mentioned here that you feel could be very easy to give up? So a person who is easy to give up, that could be a detrimental weakness. Right. Yeah, very guarded. Yeah. So it can be very guarded. This will stifle innovation and creativity. An introversion. But again, he can have micro routines that we talked about that would help him in doing this. People have limited resources in terms of time and money. If you are given the choice between developing a strength that you have even further or working on a weakness to make it less of a weakness, where will you direct your attention? You would direct your attention to weakness. Who would say you would direct your attention to strength? Okay. All right, that's an interesting perspective. What he's saying is, look, you have a point of strength. Yes, if you have enough time and money and that you can invest endlessly, you would try to work on overcoming a certain weakness, and you will also try to capitalize on it. But if you have limited resources, you would probably try to the minimum to cover up yourself in terms of weakness, but to really capitalize on your strength. And so this is different than concentrating on your weakness. Well, in leadership, we say that it is sometimes, it's often, not sometimes, it's often the case that dwelling on one's weakness rather than capitalizing on one's strengths could be a mistake. What happens sometimes is that we dwell on our points of weakness and we forget we have areas of strength that we need to capitalize on. It's easier, it's more productive, it gives you more return on investment. If you have a certain weakness, try to make it, if you have a certain strength, try to make it even stronger, try to make it a cornerstone of your personal strategy, of your personal brand, while paying less attention to your weakness, unless the weakness that you have is destructive. يعني واحد weakness قاتل يعني such as كان يعني قاتل بمعنى انه متعلق بالجوب, you will not be able to perform that sort of thing. But leveraging on your strengths rather than dwelling on your weakness sometimes could be a better personal strategy. All right. So this is really, I think, one of the key takeaways for us today. The second thing that I want to emphasize with this case is the following. This is the project that I give to my students in the MBA class. I give them this project, something similar to this. It's longer, but effectively what it says. I call this the mirror experiment. And effectively, students go there and interview 7 individuals, and they write a report. They write a report after they make SWOT analysis, and then they make 7 interviews, they record them, they transcribe them, they provide them to me while hiding things that they don't want to share. And then they write, they revise SWOT analysis, and then they write a report reflecting on this process. This Saraha has proven to be a very valuable exercise to anyone who has taken it. Not only in my class, but also in the classes of my colleagues. It's not about me, it's about the exercise that is valuable, really. So even my colleagues who give this class and they give this type of project, this project is very powerful because it helps expanding our level of self-awareness. And this is an exercise in understanding more about oneself. Very valuable. And what I tell my students usually is to end up the project by writing a letter to themselves. They write a letter to themselves. They write a letter to their future self. So write a letter to your future self 2 years from now. And what some of them do actually, they write a letter, they put it in an envelope and they close it. And they date it 2 years from now, and then they open it after 2 years. من شهرين وصلني على LinkedIn وصلني message from one of my former students. she told me, you know, I'm a former student of yours. You gave us this assignment, and you told us to open it after 2 years. I opened it yesterday, and it's such a remarkable exercise that I had, you know, looking at what you've done something 2 or 3 years earlier, and looking now at what you written, because you can compare what you promised yourself to be doing, what you were able to accomplish, what you were not able to accomplish. Perhaps you over-accomplished what you expected to do. So it was such a enriching exercise, and she was kind enough to share this experience with you. We call this the mirror experiment because it's a matter of mirror, it's a matter of getting feedback. Now, the final thing that, yes, sir, please. طبعا اذا كان منه محرج لا ما في شيء اوكي بس احنا ما خلصنا بعد عندك شغله بس نخلص بس نخلص Now I know perhaps I overwhelmed you with cases, but cases really are a very valuable learning device, because it helps you put yourself in the position of this maker and think of it in terms of what needs to be done and what doesn't need to be done. This is not the case. This is an exercise that is called, thank you. This is individual. It's called your 100th birthday. Your 100th birthday. And what you need to do in this, إن شاء الله العمر الطويل يا رب. Imagine you are making a birthday party for your 100th birthday. إن شاء الله صار عمرك أو عمرك 100 سنة وعم تعمل حفلة عيد ميلاد. You have inshallah you have You've had a long, rewarding life where you were able to accomplish lots of things and realize many of your dreams. As you watch your friends and family enjoying themselves in the party, you start wondering about those 100 years, and you feel like you want to write about your 100-year journey. You want to answer 3 questions. 3 questions. What have I accomplished over my life so far? What things am I proud of? What are the top 3 things that I have done in my 100 years? If you can be specific, be specific. So, you know, try to move forward and look back. Move forward and look back. Right. Yeah. Second, what legacy have I left? What is the main thing that I want to be remembered for? Write one statement that summarizes your 100 years. Third, what advice would I give to others? All right? So just take a reader is a person who's self-aware about who he is, who we are, about his or her history, his or her past. But a reader should also have a good awareness about who he or she will become in the future. But moving forward and looking forward and then going back is an exercise that will help you becoming self-aware not only about who you currently are, but who you could become, inshallah. But that's just an incentive for us to think forward in that regard. Having said this, I will not volunteer, I will not call on anybody. If you can just, anyone who would volunteer to answer the 3 questions or any of the 3 questions or the combination. يلا مين؟ ما كتبوا لها غيره ما كتبوا. Okay, خلاص. I respect that. كتبت but she doesn't want to share that one. You know. So تفضل طارق. Thank you. هاي مايك كيف بدك العودي يكون عم يعمل صوت يلا ليجاسي يعني بعدين ليجاسي كيف الناس legacy means how people remember
Advice, money is not everything.
هذا كلام
nice please حمدي نسمع حمدي لو سمحت.
أول to accomplish it to be usually myself. لا what I have accomplished over my life. What things I am proud of, and I'm usually proud to be my kids proud of me. The top 3 things I have: my family, my career, my family.
Nice. Okay, good.
Legacy, I give my kids some advice that can help them in their personalities.
Wow. You are a very family oriented person.
Yes,
يعني واضح
sure.
إنه you see people have different roles that they play: career, family, community, individual at the individual level. It's becoming very clear that family is very important to Hamdi.
The advice: honest is the easy way.
Honesty will. Thank you. مين بيتطوع؟ في حدا هون بيتطوع ولا؟ No? أيمن يلا قول ما تخاف. أيمن وراتب شو بدك راتب تقول؟ No? Okay.
5G something to remember على المية مش هلا وانتم مش رح تاخذوها اليوم 6G 7G والله محطوط لا خلاص
عم بيعمل
لا تضيع وقت successful few points really on the achievement. So definitely we'll keep remembering that we passed through a successful career. At the end, that secured really a kind of decent retirement for the life, because to be able to survive there, you should have been establishing يعني إن شاء الله إذا ضل على المية. Family really what also everybody I think believe is achieving, that we raise the family with sons and daughters. At the end also inshallah grandfather, and when you really look to those people being educated, passed through, so when you remember that you start raising and establishing of that family. Visiting a lot of countries, alhamdulillah, yani we were part of the people who Allah, yani, of being able to visit really a lot of countries, people, cultures, and places that are remarkable, will always remember. And we'll always keep remembering that I was part really of a great team that we passed during the major challenges. We started even pre-launch. We started from the very early telecom. We were the first team who established mobile, really telecom industry, passing all the technologies until I don't know the 100 we will pass, establishing and so on. So we were part of the people who were not the team we make the revolution, but we were of the teams who established networks. Mobile were really, it made a revolution in our life. Yani when mobile legacy, really, I think helping people and develop. I hope that people will remember us that we helped them. We were developing them, and some people who will be successful, our successors in the future, will keep remembering that we were part of, inshallah, coaching them. So what I really recommend for or advise others that I have a few things that are my convictions, that dedication, persistency lead to success. Being determined is key. People is the real assets in life, not technology, not work. And all are keep changing. You may change everything. People, what will remain will be people. And work balance where possible is really crucial because we live once. It's a point of no return. If you pass the time, you won't be able to recover.
Anything on that side of that table في شيء؟ نيكولا يلا نيكولا مستعد نيكولا مستعد
تفضل تفضل سيد نيكولا تفضل
لا لا يلا تفضل Thank you.
Accomplishments. I've been part of a great established family with siblings and grandchildren. Left a good impression where everyone will remember positively, respectfully, and wisely. Honestly, left a good financial state that family can rely on. Legacy, a respectful colleague and leader, loving life and always wanting to excel and do more. Advice, follow the trends, be always close to your work. To a certain level, treat people well and be straightforward.
Thank you. Thank you.
قصي بتذكر لما شو وجود.
إن شاء الله. Thank you very much for those of you who volunteered to share with us. I know some of you have written things down, and I know some of you will go home and perhaps continue writing things down. It's good. It's a good exercise. It's interesting. It helps you think about the big questions in life. So let's close this meeting with some key takeaways. I just want to close it with few sentences, and the sentences will follow a certain sentence structures. This has been a module about leadership, and I want you to share with me جملة مفيدة in English or in Arabic. I'll share with you one, which is leaders take charge. What do I mean by this? Based on our discussions, one key takeaway that I would take away from this, among others, is that leaders take charge. Take charge, and once they are given a position of leadership, they act as leaders. They identify as leaders. They wear the hat of a leader and they take charge. They are decisive in that manner. So I want you to think for a few seconds, what do you think leaders are as well? Again, leaders take charge. Leaders hold themselves accountable. They hold themselves accountable. They understand that they have to act and they have to hold themselves accountable. Leaders are visionary. Vision is an important aspect of collaborative and agile leadership, as we have indicated earlier today. That's it. Leaders, so influencing, we said by definition, leadership is an influence process. We cannot think of leadership without having influence. So leaders influence others. Yes. Leaders provide direction. Leaders provide directions. Actually, people look for leaders for direction. This is something that we see from our leaders. Leaders act as role models. Leaders need to lead by example. Leaders have weaknesses. Thank you very much. So leaders have weaknesses. Leaders are not perfect. We do not dwell on this, Sarah, but I think it's a good thing to say. Leaders have weaknesses. They are not perfect. They do not dwell on their weaknesses. They capitalize on their strengths. Leaders give credit when due. They do not take credit. لا لا مش خربها لا give credit when due, definitely. So actually this is where we started. When I started yesterday, what I said you can think of, if we think of leadership as an influence process, then anyone who influences others for good or for bad is considered to be a leader. But this is not how we define leaders, at least not in these 2 days. We approach leadership with a positive perspective. In our perspective, we do not call a person who is a negative leader, we don't call him a leader. Because the way we approach leadership, it is a positive phenomenon. So examples that you can think of bad leaders, evil leaders, these are not leaders in our definition. Yes. So leaders are good communicators. They don't only know how to communicate, they understand when to communicate and how to communicate. This was clear in the case of the telephone, yes? And to whom? Definitely, and to whom? Yes, sir. طبعا لا طبعا هو leadership نحن قلنا if you want to approach leadership as a descriptive phenomenon, it applies to leaders who are negative or positive. بس احنا بس نحكي leadership, we approach it in a positive manner. يعني نحن من we approach it from a positive psychological perspective. An effective leader is a person who is a leader for the good, not a leader for the bad. Although they exist, these individuals exist. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. We also talked about leaders are not perfect, but they know how to surround themselves with a good team where they are able to complement their weaknesses. So leaders who have vision but are not good implementers, they surround them with good implementers. Leaders who are good implementers but they lack on the vision, they surround them with people who have imagination, who are creative. Very good. So leaders know when and how they can act. Yeah. So it's a matter of situational adjustment. It's a matter of situational adjustment. Leaders perceive well the situation and they adjust their style according to the context in which they operate. We talked a lot about adaptability as a very important leadership trait. So we talked about direction, order, and protection. We look to leaders for 3 things. We look at leaders for direction, we look at them for protection, we look at them for order. I think it's this is a very interesting model, because when you think about what do followers want from you, my followers want from me direction. So am I failing in giving them direction? My followers want some assurance that they are safe, they are protected, they are psychologically safe. And followers, people do not like to work in a chaotic environment where there's no order, no nothing. So we provide order, leaders provide order as well. Thank you very much. It has been such a pleasure to be with you today. It's not the